React to nothing. Please be part of our success story. Subscribe, like, and share the work of this channel. We want to grow with you from the beginning. Now, let's break down the book chapter by chapter. React to nothing. The art of strategic non-response in a reactive world. We live in an age of noise, not just the literal noise of traffic and industry, but the psychic noise of perpetual demand. Your phone buzzes, your email pings, a colleague raises an eyebrow, a driver cuts you off, the news cycle screams for your outrage. In this cacophony, we have been conditioned to believe that immediacy is a virtue and that silence is a weakness. We are taught to hit back, to reply all, to defend, to explain, to justify. We are taught to react. This book posits a radical alternative. What if you did nothing? Not the nothing of apathy, but the active, strategic nothing of the pause. This is not about passivity. It is about reclaiming your sovereignty over your own mind. As you read these pages, you will discover that the most powerful person in the room is rarely the one shouting. It is the one who can absorb the chaos, transmute the energy, and choose with precision whether to act or to remain still. React to nothing is a manifesto for the modern Stoic, a guide for the overwhelmed leader, and a balm for the anxious mind. Introduction. The power of non-reaction. Imagine you are holding a cup of hot coffee. Someone bumps into you and you spill coffee everywhere. Why did you spill coffee? You might say, because someone bumped into me. But the real answer is, you spilled coffee because there was coffee in your cup. Had there been water in your cup, you would have spilled water. Whatever is inside you is what comes out when life bumps you. Most of us are walking around filled with reactive patterns, impatience, defensiveness, the need to be right, the fear of criticism. When the world bumps us, and it always will, these patterns spill out instantly. We call this reacting. It feels automatic, it feels necessary, it feels like we are defending ourselves, but in reality, we are giving away our power. Reaction is slavery. Response is freedom. When you react, you are a puppet, and the person or event that triggered you is the puppeteer. They pull a string, an insult, a stressful email, a traffic jam, and you dance. You get angry, you get anxious, you type a furious reply. You have lost your center. You are no longer in control of your own ship. This book is about cutting the strings. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Attributed to Viktor Frankl. The illusion of urgency. We live in an immediate response economy. The read receipt on a text message creates a ticking clock. The Slack notification demands acknowledgement. The comment on social media begs for a rebuttal. We have confused reacting quickly with acting effectively. Strategic non-response is the ability to receive input, positive or negative, and simply let it land without bouncing back immediately. It is the capacity to sit with discomfort, uncertainty, or aggression without needing to fix, fight, or flee in that exact second. What this book will teach you. The pause. How to widen the gap between trigger and action. Emotional alchemy. How to feel intense emotions without acting on them. Strategic silence. How to use silence as a negotiation tactic and a leadership tool. The ghost technique. Letting provocations pass through you as if you were made of mist. Chapter 1. The reactive epidemic. Why we can't stop responding. It was 10:43 p.m. on a Tuesday. Mark, a senior executive at a logistics firm, was winding down for bed when his phone lit up. An email from a client. The subject line, urgent, unacceptable delays. Mark's heart rate spiked. Cortisol flooded his system. The rational part of his brain, the prefrontal cortex, went offline. His amygdala, the ancient alarm system of the brain, took over. Without thinking, he tapped reply. He typed a defensive, slightly aggressive paragraph explaining why the delays weren't his fault, blaming the supply chain, and subtly hinting that the client was being unreasonable. He hit send. The next morning, reading his sent folder in the cold light of day, he felt a pit in his stomach. The tone was unprofessional. The client was furious. A situation that required diplomacy had been turned into a crisis by a 30-second reaction. Mark is not alone. He is a victim of the reactive epidemic. The biology of reaction. To understand why we react, we must look at our hardware. Humans evolved in an environment where reaction speed was synonymous with survival. If a bush rustled, you didn't contemplate the philosophical implications of the noise, you ran. If you didn't, a tiger ate you. Today, the tigers are abstract. They are emails, passive-aggressive comments, traffic jams, and news headlines. However, your brain doesn't know the difference. The amygdala processes social threats, threats to status, belonging, or competence, in the same region that processes physical threats to safety. When you receive a rude comment, your body prepares for a fistfight. Your muscles tense, your vision tunnels, your blood pressure rises. Reacting, snapping back, is the biological release of this tension. It feels good in the moment because it discharges the energy, but in the modern world, this discharge is almost always destructive. The dopamine loop. Beyond the threat response, there is the reward response. Every time we engage with a notification, we get a microdose of dopamine. We are Pavlov's dogs, trained by Silicon Valley engineers to salivate at the sound of a ping. Reacting has become a form of addiction. We scroll to find something to be outraged about. We check comments to see if someone disagreed with us. We are subconsciously looking for triggers because the cycle of trigger to reaction to validation is a known loop for the brain. Practice this: the notification fast. For the next 24 hours, turn off all non-essential notifications. Keep phone calls on, but silence texts, emails, and social media. Check them only at 3 designated times. Example, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m. Notice the phantom buzzes in your pocket. Notice the anxiety of missing out. This anxiety is the withdrawal symptom of your reactivity addiction. Summary. We are biologically wired to react to threats, but our modern environment has hacked this system, turning minor annoyances into survival events. Recognizing that your need to reply is actually a biological stress response is the first step toward freedom. Chapter 2. The Ancient Wisdom of Non-Reaction. While modern science explains the mechanism of reactivity, ancient philosophy offers the cure. Long before fMRI machines, Stoics, Buddhists, and Taoists understood the immense power of the unperturbed mind. The Stoic Fortress. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "Men are not disturbed by things, but by the view which they take of them." This is the core of Stoic non-reaction. The event, the rude email, the lost wallet, is neutral. It is merely atoms moving in the universe. The harm comes from your judgment that this is bad or this is an insult. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, practiced this daily. He wrote in his Meditations about preparing to meet ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, and uncharitable people. His strategy wasn't to change them or to fight them, but to recognize that they act out of ignorance and that their actions need not disturb his inner citadel. The Stoic technique is the view from above. When you feel the urge to react, zoom out. See yourself as a tiny dot on a planet, in a galaxy, in infinite time. Does this snarky comment on Twitter really matter in the cosmic scale? The answer creates immediate detachment. Wu Wei, the art of doing nothing. In Taoism, there is a concept called Wu Wei, often translated as effortless action or non-doing. It doesn't mean laziness, it means acting in accordance with the flow of nature rather than forcing against it. Water is the ultimate example of Wu Wei. It reacts to nothing, yet conquers everything. When it meets a rock, it doesn't get angry, it flows around it. It doesn't struggle, it yields, and by yielding, it eventually wears the rock down. When you force a reaction, when you try to win an argument or crush an opponent, you are expending massive energy against the current. Non-reaction is the judo move of the soul. You step aside and let the opponent's aggressive energy throw them off balance. The best fighter is never angry. Lao Tzu. The Buddhist gap. Buddhism teaches vipassana, or insight. It teaches us to observe sensations without attachment or aversion. When anger arises, the reactive mind says, "I am angry." The non-reactive mind observes, "Anger is arising." This subtle linguistic shift creates a gap. You are no longer the anger, you are the container in which the anger is happening. If you are the container, you don't need to act on the contents. You can watch the anger boil, bubble, and eventually, as all things do, evaporate. Chapter 3. The Neuroscience of the Pause. Let's look under the hood. What happens in your brain when you manage not to react? It is a battle between two giants, the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, PFC. The hijack. Daniel Goleman coined the term amygdala hijack. When a trigger occurs, the amygdala, the emotional processor, receives the signal milliseconds before the neocortex, the thinking brain. If the signal is strong enough, the amygdala declares an emergency and shuts down the pathways to the logical brain. It essentially says, "We don't have time for logic, we need to fight." This is why, when you are truly enraged, you literally cannot think straight. The blood has left your thinking brain. The 6-second rule. Neuroscience suggests that the chemical surge of an emotion typically lasts about 6 to 90 seconds. If you can withstand that initial wave without adding fuel to the fire, by ruminating or acting, the chemical flush subsides. When you pause, you're buying time for the signal to travel from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. You are waiting for the adult in the room to wake up and take the wheel from the panicked child. Neuroplasticity of non-reaction. Every time you react to a trigger, you strengthen the neural pathway of reactivity. It becomes a superhighway. The more you yell in traffic, the easier it becomes to yell in traffic next time. Conversely, every time you feel the urge to react but choose silence, you are engaging in inhibitory control. This is a workout for your prefrontal cortex. You are physically growing gray matter in the area of the brain responsible for self-regulation. You are not just changing your behavior, you are rewiring your brain structure. Practice this, the physical reset. When you feel the hijack coming, heat in the face, racing heart, look up. Physically move your eyes to the ceiling. This disengages the intense focus of the threat response. Breathe out longer than you breathe in. Inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 8. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, to counteract the adrenaline. Name it. Silently say, "I am experiencing a hijack." Naming an emotion reduces its intensity in the amygdala, a phenomenon called affect labeling. Chapter 4. Response versus reaction. The distinction between reacting and responding is the distinction between a reflex and a choice. Reaction. Speed, instantaneous. Driver. Emotion, instinct, or past trauma. Goal. Defense or relief of tension. Outcome. Often regretful and escalates conflict. Response. Speed. Delayed, even by seconds. Driver. Values, logic, or long-term goals. Goal. Resolution, effective outcome. Outcome. Intentional and de-escalates conflict. The past filter. Reactions are rarely about the present moment. They are usually about the past. If your boss criticizes your work and you feel a disproportionate rage, you are likely reacting to a history of criticism from parents, teachers, or past failures. The reaction uses a template from the past and applies it to the present. A response, however, deals only with the data in front of you. It asks, what is actually happening right now and what is the best way to handle it? Case study: the email war. Scenario: Sarah receives a passive-aggressive email from a colleague, Tom, copying her boss. Just wanted to check if you finished the report yet, as the team is waiting on you. Reaction: Sarah feels humiliated. She hits reply all immediately. I would have finished it if I had received the data from you on time, Tom. Please don't imply I'm the bottleneck. Result: open warfare. The boss sees two squabbling children. Response: Sarah feels the humiliation. She notes the heat in her chest. She closes the email. She goes for a walk. She asks herself, what is my goal? To look professional and get the project done. 2 hours later, she replies only to Tom, not the boss. Hi, Tom. The report will be ready by 2 p.m. Thanks for checking in. Result: Sarah looks unshakable. Tom's attempt to provoke failed. The work continues. Chapter 5: Strategic Silence. Silence is an empty space. Human beings are terrified of empty spaces. In conversation, in negotiation, and in conflict, we rush to fill the silence with words. We explain, we apologize, we bargain. Masters of non-reaction use silence as a weapon and a shield. The negotiation pause. In high-stakes negotiation, whoever speaks first after a proposal loses. If you state your price and the other person remains silent, you will feel an overwhelming urge to lower your price just to end the uncomfortable silence. But I could do it for less, you might stutter. Don't be the one to break the silence. When you deliver difficult news or a firm boundary, deliver it and then stop completely. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. The gray rock method. For toxic personalities, narcissists, bullies, drama magnets, reaction is fuel. They feed on your emotional output. If they insult you and you cry, they are fed. If you yell, they are fed. The strategic non-response here is to become a gray rock. You become as boring and uninteresting as a gray rock in a driveway. You offer no emotional surface area for them to latch onto. Them saying, "You're the worst manager I've ever had." You, in gray rock mode, "I hear your perspective." Silence. Them, "Is that all you have to say? You don't care?" You, in gray rock mode, "I've noted your feedback." Eventually, they will move on to a more reactive target. Silence is a source of great strength. Lao Tzu. Practice this, the 3-second rule. In your next conversation, wait exactly 3 seconds after the other person finishes speaking before you start. Count them in your head. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Observe what happens. The other person might continue talking and reveal more than they intended, or your response will be more measured and authoritative because it wasn't rushed. Chapter 6: The Art of the Pause. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Viktor Franklin. Introduction: The revolutionary act of pausing. In the relentless current of modern life, stopping seems counterintuitive. We are taught that speed equals efficiency, that hesitation is weakness, and that the first to speak wins the argument. But biology and history tell a different story. The pause is not merely a cessation of activity, it is an active, strategic engagement with time. It is the revolutionary act of reclaiming your autonomy from your biology. When we pause, we disrupt the automaticity of our existence. We step off the conveyor belt of cause and effect that dictates most human behavior. This chapter is not just about waiting, it is about the art of waiting, knowing how long, in what manner, and for what purpose we delay our engagement with the world. The neuroscience of the pause. To master the pause, one must understand the machinery being paused. When a stimulus enters your brain, be it a rude comment, a terrifying email subject line, or a car swerving into your lane, it takes two distinct paths. The low road is the fast track to the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center. This pathway processes information in milliseconds, triggering the fight or flight response before you are consciously aware of what is happening. This was excellent for dodging saber-toothed tigers, but it is disastrous for navigating complex social nuances. The high road leads to the prefrontal cortex, PFC, the seat of executive function, reasoning, and impulse control. This path is slower. It takes time for the signal to reach the CEO of your brain. The pause is essentially the time required to let the high road catch up to the low road. The 200 millisecond gap. Neuroscientific research suggests it takes roughly 200 to 500 milliseconds for a visual stimulus to reach conscious awareness in the cortex. However, the amygdala can react in under 100 milliseconds. If you react instantly, you are reacting blindly. The pause buys you the biological latency needed for intelligence to come online. The 3-second rule, 10-second rule, and strategic delay. Not all pauses are created equal. The duration of your pause should match the stakes of the situation. The 3-second rule, micro-pauses. This is for conversational flow and minor irritations. When asked a question, count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000 before inhaling to speak. This micropause signals confidence, allows you to formulate a coherent thought, and often encourages the other person to reveal more information. The 10-second rule, acute triggers. Use this when you feel the physical somatic marker of anger, the hot flush, the tightened jaw. 10 seconds is often enough for the initial adrenaline spike to plateau. It's the difference between "you're an idiot" and "I disagree with that assessment." Strategic delay, macro pauses. For high-stakes decisions, job offers, firing an employee, sending a critical email, the pause must move from seconds to hours or days. This is where the sleep on it heuristic becomes a biological necessity. During REM sleep, the brain processes emotional experiences, stripping away the visceral charge while retaining the informational memory. You quite literally wake up with a different brain than the one that went to sleep. Micropauses versus macropauses in daily life. We can categorize pauses into two buckets: tactical, micro, and strategic, macro. Examples of micropauses: the doorway pause, stopping for 5 seconds before entering your home after work to reset your emotional state. The sip pause, taking a slow drink of water during a tense meeting to break the rhythm of conflict. The inhale pause, taking one deep breath before answering the phone. Examples of macro pauses: the email draft pause, writing a fiery email but leaving the to field blank and saving it to drafts for 24 hours. The purchase pause, instituting a 7-day waiting period for any non-essential purchase over $100. The relationship pause, taking a defined timeout of 20 minutes during a heated spousal argument to let nervous systems regulate. Famous examples of powerful pauses. Case study: Lincoln's hot letters. Abraham Lincoln was known for his temper in private, but his immense patience in public. His secret method was the hot letter. When furious with a general or a rival, he would write a scathing letter pouring out all his vitriol. Then he would fold it, write "never sent, never signed" on it, and place it in a drawer. Historians have found stacks of these. Lincoln used the pause to vent the emotion without causing the destruction. Obama's debate pause. In political debates, Barack Obama frequently used long, uncomfortable pauses. While opponents rushed to fill the silence with stammering defenses, Obama would wait, look down, think, and then deliver a complete paragraph. The pause signaled, I am thinking, not reacting. 10 plus practical pause techniques. You need a toolkit. A pause is not just doing nothing, it is doing something else that bridges the gap. The breath pause. 4, 7, 8. Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. The long exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. The physical pause. I need to use the restroom. Removing your body from the room breaks the tension field. The question pause. Instead of answering, ask, can you help me understand what you mean by that? It buys time and forces the aggressor to explain their reasoning. The counting pause. The classic count to 10. Simple but effective for engaging the logical brain. The sip pause. Always have water. The act of swallowing is incompatible with the physiology of fight or flight. The note pause. Look down and write a note. It breaks eye contact, which reduces threat perception and engages motor skills. The calendar pause. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. Never agree to a commitment in the moment. The sleep pause. I have a rule that I don't make decisions past 8 p.m. Let's revisit this tomorrow. The walk pause. Bilateral stimulation, walking, helps process trauma and stress. Take a lap before deciding. The consultation pause. I need to run this by my partner, team, or lawyer. It diffuses the pressure on you personally. Exercise. The pause journal. For 1 week, keep a small notebook. Every time you successfully pause instead of reacting, make a tick mark. If you fail and react, write down a brief autopsy. What triggered me? What time was it? How tired was I? The pause in different contexts. The art of pausing is not one size fits all. Different situations require different pause strategies. The conversational pause. In face-to-face conversations, pausing before responding demonstrates confidence and respect. When someone asks you a question, resist the urge to fill the silence immediately. Count to 3, take a visible breath, and then speak. This micro-pause shows you are genuinely considering their question, prevents knee-jerk defensive reactions, often causes the other person to reveal more information, and establishes you as thoughtful rather than reactive. The email/text pause. Digital communication removes the social cues that naturally regulate conversation pace. This makes it even more critical to pause. Implement the draft to drafts protocol. Write your emotional response, save it to drafts, never fill in the to field, and revisit it after 2 hours minimum. Most inflammatory messages die in drafts, where they belong. The meeting pause. When challenged in a meeting, the amateur rushes to defend. The professional pauses, writes a note, even if just a doodle, and then responds. This creates the perception of thoughtfulness and prevents you from being dragged into an emotional battle in front of colleagues. The conflict pause. During heated arguments, institute a mutual timeout protocol with your partner or colleague. When either person says timeout, both parties separate for 20 minutes. This isn't avoidance, it's regulation. Set a timer, return when calm, and resume. More famous examples of powerful pauses. Case study: Winston Churchill's war room silence. During World War II, Churchill was famous for his long silences in war cabinet meetings. When presented with catastrophic news, he would light his cigar, close his eyes, and sit in silence for minutes while others squirmed. This wasn't indecision, it was his method for allowing emotion to clear so strategy could emerge. His advisors learned that interrupting the silence was career suicide.
Case study: Nelson Mandela's 27-year pause. Mandela spent 27 years in prison, where he could have become bitter and reactive. Instead, he used incarceration as a macro pause. He studied his oppressor's language, culture, and psychology. When he emerged, he responded not with vengeance, but with strategic reconciliation. His pause transformed him from activist to statesman. Case study: the championship pause. Michael Jordan was famous for his pre-game silence. While teammates talked and joked, Jordan sat in his locker, eyes closed, visualizing. He paused before action. This pause was his transition ritual from civilian to competitor. Sports psychologists now teach this technique as the performance pause. The physiology of the pause. What happens in your body? The pause isn't just psychological. It triggers measurable physiological changes that support better decision-making. Heart rate variability, HRV, measures the variation in time between heartbeats. High HRV indicates a flexible, resilient nervous system. Low HRV indicates chronic stress. Research from Heart Math Institute shows that taking just 3 slow, deep breaths increases HRV and shifts your body from threat mode to challenge mode. The pause literally changes your heart rhythm. Vagus nerve activation. The vagus nerve is the primary nerve of the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. When you pause and take a long exhale, you stimulate the vagus nerve, which sends a signal to your brain, it's safe, stand down. This is why breath work is so effective. It's a direct biological communication system. Cortisol reduction. When stressed, your body releases cortisol. Prolonged elevation of cortisol impairs memory, clouds judgment, and suppresses immune function. Studies show that even a 5-minute pause with conscious breathing can reduce cortisol levels by 15 to 20%. The pause isn't weakness, it's hormonal optimization. Common obstacles to pausing and how to overcome them. Obstacle number 1, urgency addiction. The problem, we are addicted to the feeling of urgency. It makes us feel important and alive. Pausing feels like death. The solution, distinguish between urgent and important. Ask, will responding in 10 seconds versus 10 minutes change the outcome? Rarely will it. Obstacle number 2, people-pleasing. The problem, you fear that pausing will disappoint others or make them think you don't care. The solution, reframe. People respect thoughtfulness. Say, that's important. Let me think about it and get back to you. This shows respect, not indifference. Obstacle number 3, fear of missing out, FOMO. The problem, if you don't respond instantly to the group chat, you'll miss the joke or be excluded. The solution, test it. Leave your phone in another room for 2 hours. 99% of the time, nothing catastrophic happens. FOMO is manufactured anxiety, not reality. Obstacle number 4, power dynamics. The problem, your boss expects immediate responses. Pausing feels like subordination. The solution, strategic pausing, actually increases your perceived status. Busy, important people respond when it fits their schedule, not immediately. Even a 10-minute delay signals autonomy. Obstacle number 5, cultural pressure. The problem, in some cultures, silence or pausing is perceived as rude or disinterested. The solution, use bridging language. Say, I want to give this the thought it deserves. Can I come back to you in an hour? You're pausing, but you're narrating the pause so it's not misinterpreted. The pause practice, building your pause muscle over 30 days. Like any muscle, your capacity to pause atrophies without use. Here is a progressive training program. Week 1, the breath foundation. Daily practice 3 times a day, morning, lunch, before bed. Perform 5 cycles of 4, 7, 8 breathing. Set phone alarms as reminders. This builds your baseline capacity for physiological pausing. Week 2, conversational micropauses. Daily practice, in every conversation today, pause for 3 full seconds before responding to any question. Track your success rate. Notice how people lean in, how your words carry more weight. Week 3, digital pausing. Daily practice, implement the 1-hour rule for all non-emergency messages. Do not respond to any text,
email, or social media message for at least 1 hour. Observe the urge to respond immediately. Sit with it. Week 4. The Macro Pause Challenge. Daily practice. Identify one decision you would normally make immediately and institute a 24-hour pause. Career decisions, major purchases, relationship confrontations. Give it a full day. Journal about how your perspective shifts. More detailed case studies of transformative pauses. Case study: the executive who paused before firing. The situation: Sarah, a VP of operations, discovered that her director had fudged quarterly numbers. Her immediate impulse was rage. Fire him now. She drafted the termination email at 11 p.m. The pause: she closed her laptop and went to bed. The next morning, she reread the situation with fresh eyes. The outcome: she realized firing him immediately would trigger a public scandal and investigation. Instead, she quietly reassigned him, corrected the numbers, and avoided a disaster. The pause saved the company millions in legal fees and reputation damage. Case study: the parent who stopped mid-argument. The situation: James was in a screaming match with his teenage son about grades. He was mid-sentence, "You are so lazy," and he stopped mid-sentence. He looked at his son's face, hurt, defiant, terrified. He said, "I need a minute." He left the room. He returned 10 minutes later, calm. "I was wrong to yell. I'm scared about your future, but attacking you doesn't help. Let's problem solve together." The relationship shifted from adversarial to collaborative in that moment. Case study: the entrepreneur's million-dollar pause. The situation: Raj was pitching his startup to investors. One investor said, "I'll give you $2 million, but I want 40% equity. I need an answer now." The pause: every fiber of Raj wanted to say yes, that's life-changing money. But he said, "I appreciate the offer. I need to consult with my co-founder and attorney. I'll respond in 48 hours. During the pause, he called 3 other investors. 2 came back with better offers. By not reacting to artificial urgency, he retained 15% more equity, worth $1.2 million at exit. Case study: the couple that saved their marriage with pauses. The situation: Maya and Derek fought constantly. Every disagreement escalated into warfare. The pause: their therapist instituted a timeout rule. Either person could call a 20-minute pause, no negotiation. They agreed to honor it. The outcome: in 3 months, they called 14 timeouts. Every single fight de-escalated. The pause became their marital circuit breaker. Case study: the leader who paused during a crisis. The situation: a product defect hit the news. The CEO's PR team wanted an immediate press release with blame deflection and legal language. The pause: the CEO said, "We pause. For 24 hours, we gather facts. Then we respond." The pause revealed that the defect affected only 0.3% of units, and a fix was already in production. The CEO's statement was calm, factual, and human. "We messed up. Here's what we're doing." The company's stock recovered in 2 days, while competitors who reacted defensively saw weeks of fallout. Scientific research on decision-making and delayed response. Study 1. University of Chicago, Delay and Decision Accuracy, 2015. Researchers found that participants who were forced to wait 500 milliseconds before making a decision showed 22% improvement in accuracy on complex pattern recognition tasks compared to those who responded immediately. The study concluded that brief delays allow for more complete information processing. Study 2. Stanford's Marshmallow Experiment, Delayed Gratification, 1972, Longitudinal. The famous study showed that children who could delay eating a marshmallow for 15 minutes, the pause, showed significantly higher SAT scores, better stress management, and healthier BMIs 40 years later. The capacity to pause is predictive of life success. Study 3, Harvard, Sleep and Emotional Regulation, 2019. fMRI studies show that REM sleep reduces. Study number 3, Harvard, Sleep and Emotional Regulation, 2019. fMRI studies show that REM sleep reduces amygdala reactivity to emotional stimuli by 40%. The sleep on it, pause, is not folk wisdom, it's neuroscience. The brain literally reprocesses emotional memories during sleep, stripping away the emotional charge while retaining the informational content. Study number 4, Princeton, the speed-accuracy trade-off in decision-making, 2014. Neural models demonstrate that humans face a fundamental trade-off. Fast decisions are error-prone, slow decisions are accurate but costly in time-sensitive environments. The research identifies an optimal pause window of 2 to 5 seconds for most non-emergency decisions, balancing speed and accuracy. Study number 5, University of Amsterdam, Unconscious Thought Theory, 2006. Complex decisions, buying a car, choosing a career, are better made after a period of unconscious deliberation. Participants who were distracted for 4 minutes before deciding showed better long-term satisfaction than those who decided immediately or deliberated consciously. The pause allows the unconscious mind to integrate information. Study number 6, MIT, The Pause and Social Perception, 2017. Speakers who paused for 2 to 3 seconds before answering questions were rated as 34% more intelligent, 28% more trustworthy, and 41% more competent than those who answered immediately. The pause changes how you are perceived by others. Study number 7, Yale, Heart Rate Variability and Decision Quality, 2020. Participants who engaged in 3 minutes of slow breathing, increasing HRV, before making financial decisions showed 23% better risk assessment and 18% higher returns in simulated trading. The physiological pause optimizes judgment. Detailed exercises with instructions. Exercise 1, the Pause Journal. Duration, 7 days. Materials, a small pocket notebook or phone notes app. Instructions, carry the notebook everywhere. Every time you successfully pause instead of reacting, make a tick mark, check. If you fail and react, write a brief autopsy. What triggered me? What time was it? How tired or hungry was I? Who was present? At the end of 7 days, review. What patterns emerge? When are you most reactive? What specific triggers repeatedly defeat you? Goal, 5 successful pauses per day by day 7. Exercise 2, Pause Anchors, creating physical reminders. Duration, ongoing. Materials, small physical objects. Instructions, choose 3 pause anchor objects, a smooth stone, a rubber band on your wrist, a specific coin in your pocket. Every time you touch this object, it is your cue to pause and take 1 conscious breath. Place these anchors strategically: stone on your desk, rubber band on your wrist, coin in pocket for meetings. Train yourself. Object equals breath equals pause. Goal, automatic pause response when you encounter your anchors. Troubleshooting, when pausing feels impossible. Problem, I pause, but my mind is still racing and reactive. Solution, the pause isn't just stopping your mouth, it's redirecting your attention. When you pause, actively shift focus to a physical sensation, your feet on the floor, your hands on the table, your breath. This breaks the thought loop. Problem, when I pause, the other person fills the silence and I lose control. Solution, that's the point. Let them fill the silence. They will often reveal information, soften their position, or talk themselves into your perspective. Silence is a vacuum that others rush to fill. Chapter 6, Key Takeaways. The pause is the bridge between the amygdala, reaction, and the prefrontal cortex, response. Lincoln's hot letters are a timeless model for emotional venting without destructive consequences. Micropauses of 3 seconds build conversational authority. Macropauses of 24 hours save careers and relationships. Physical movement, walking, bathroom breaks, is the fastest biological way to force a pause and reset your nervous system. The 4-7-8 breath is your portable off switch for the stress response, activating the vagus nerve and increasing HRV. The pause changes how others perceive you, plus 34% more intelligent, plus 28% more trustworthy, plus 41% more competent. Research shows even 500 milliseconds of delay improves decision accuracy by 22% in complex tasks. Obstacles to pausing, urgency addiction, people-pleasing, FOMO, can be systematically overcome with reframing and practice. The 30-day pause training program builds your pause muscle progressively from breathwork to macro decision delays. Pause anchors, physical objects, create automatic pause triggers throughout your day. Chapter Integration. 15 Action Steps. 1. Commit to the 7-day pause challenge starting tomorrow. 2. Create your situational pause map for your top 5 reactive situations. 3. Purchase or designate 3 pause anchor objects: stone, rubber band, coin. 4. Set 3 daily alarms for 4-7-8 breathing practice: morning, lunch, evening. 5. Implement the draft to drafts protocol for all emotional emails this week. 6. Practice the 3-second conversational pause in every conversation today. 7. Write your first hot letter tonight. Vent fully, then file it away unsent. 8. Establish a timeout protocol with your partner or closest colleague. 9. Test the sleep on it rule for your next significant decision. 10. Turn your phone to grayscale mode to reduce reactive checking. 11. Create a phone foyer station at your home entrance. Phone stays there. 12. Practice one 20-minute silence sit this week. No input, just being. 13. Share the pause concept with one person and commit to mutual accountability. 14. Start your pause journal today. Track successes and autopsy failures. 15. Review your pause journal weekly and adjust your strategies based on patterns. Chapter 7. The Social Media Trap. If you are not paying for the product, you are the product. Jaron Lanier. Introduction. The Reactivity Machine. Social media is not designed for connection, it is designed for reaction. Every pixel, every notification sound, and every pull to refresh animation is engineered to exploit the vulnerabilities of human psychology. To react to nothing in the physical world is hard. To do so in the digital world is an act of supreme resistance against the most sophisticated behavior modification machinery ever built. The psychology of instant reaction. Why do we react? Because we are programmed to seek social validation and fear social exclusion. In the tribal era, being ignored meant death. Today, a lack of likes triggers that same ancient terror circuitry. Platform by platform analysis. Twitter/X, designed for outrage. The character limit removes nuance, encouraging polarized absolute statements. The quote tweet function is weaponized to dunk on opponents for audience approval. Instagram, designed for envy and inadequacy. The visual nature bypasses logic and hits the emotional centers directly. Why is their life better than mine? TikTok, the ultimate dopamine slot machine. The infinite scroll removes stopping cues like the end of a page, creating a timeless state of reactive consumption. The dopamine loop and variable rewards. B.F. Skinner, the father of behavioral psychology, discovered that the most addictive reinforcement schedule is variable ratio. If a rat presses a lever and gets a pellet every time, it gets bored. If it gets a pellet sometimes, randomly, it will press the lever until it dies of exhaustion. Social media is the variable reward lever. You never know if the next swipe will bring a funny cat video, a rage-inducing news headline, or a validation notification. The cost of digital reactivity. The price we pay is not just time, it is fragmentation of the soul. The switching cost. Research from UC Irvine shows that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back on task after being interrupted. If you check your phone every 10 minutes, you are scientifically incapable of deep work. Mental health. Higher rates of anxiety and depression correlate directly with hours spent on social media. Reputation. Digital footprints are eternal. A 5-second reactive tweet can destroy a 20-year career. The available myth. We have bought into the lie that we must be accessible 24/7. This erodes the boundaries necessary for self-respect. Case studies of reaction disasters. Justine Sacco, a PR executive who tweeted a misguided joke to her 170 followers before boarding an 11-hour flight. By the time she landed, she was the #1 trending topic worldwide, had been fired, and was receiving death threats. Her reaction, the tweet, to a passing thought, cost her everything. The CEO's 3 a.m. email. A tech CEO read a critical article about his company at 3 a.m. He fired off a defensive, rambling email to the entire company and the journalist. The stock dropped 8% the next morning. If he had waited until 9 a.m., he would likely have done nothing. The 24-hour rule for social media. If you feel the burning need to post a hot take or respond to a controversy, wait 24 hours. Implementation guide. Write the post in a notes app, not the social media app. Set a timer for 24 hours. When the timer goes off, reread it. 95% of the time, the emotion will have evaporated and you will delete it, thankful you didn't broadcast your temporary insanity. Digital detox and selective engagement. You cannot win the game if you play by their rules. You must change the rules. Strategy, the grayscale protocol. Go to your phone settings and turn the display to grayscale, black and white. Without the vibrant red notification bubbles and colorful icons, the phone becomes a tool, not a toy. It becomes boring. Boring is good. Strategy, the phone foyer method. When you enter your home, the phone goes in a bowl in the foyer or a charging station. It does not enter the bedroom. It does not enter the dining table. It is a landline that you visit occasionally. The art of the strategic non-comment. In a world where everyone has an opinion, having no opinion is a power move. When a controversy erupts, the pressure to issue a statement is immense. Resist it. The news cycle moves so fast that if you stay silent, the mob will move on to the next target in 48 hours. By engaging, you reset the clock. Exercise, the 7-day response delay challenge. For the next 7 days, you are forbidden from liking or commenting on any post immediately. You must wait at least 1 hour before engaging with any content. Observe the itch. Observe how the urge fades. Setting boundaries with notifications. The nuclear option. Turn off all non-human notifications. If it's not a text or call from a real person, you don't need to see it on your lock screen. No news alerts, no someone liked your photo, no your ride is arriving. Check the apps on your schedule, not theirs. The notification audit, a 4-step protocol. Step 1, inventory. Screenshot your notification settings. Write down every app that can push notifications to you. Step 2, categorize. Divide into human, texts or calls, versus machine, likes, news, updates, promotions. Step 3, eliminate. Turn off 100% of machine notifications. Yes, all of them. Step 4, batch check. Schedule 3 specific times daily to manually check apps: 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m. App limits and screen time tools. Use your phone's built-in screen time settings, iOS screen time, Android digital well-being, to set hard limits. Instagram, 20 minutes max, Twitter, 15 minutes max, TikTok, 10 minutes max, or 0, it's engineered dopamine, Facebook, 15 minutes max. When the limit hits, the app locks. No negotiations with yourself at 11 p.m. Physical boundaries, phone-free zones. The bedroom, No phone after 9 p.m. or before 7 a.m. Use an actual alarm clock. The dining table. No phones during meals, period. Family dinner is sacred space. The bathroom. Yes, the bathroom. If you can't sit in silence for 3 minutes, you have a problem. The first hour. No phone for the first 60 minutes after waking. Start your day as a human, not a notification processor. Temporal boundaries. No phone hours. Institute no phone windows, specific hours when your phone is in airplane mode or another room. 6 to 8 p.m., family or relationship time. 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., sleep protection. During deep work, 90-minute focus blocks with phone completely off. Creating a non-reactive social media protocol. If you must use social media, use it as a tool, not a toy. Here's a comprehensive protocol. The non-reactive social media protocol, step-by-step template. Rule 1. Consumption without reaction. Browse but do not engage immediately. Observe your urge to like, comment, or share. Let it pass. Rule 2. The 24-hour posting rule. If you want to post about something emotional or controversial, draft it in Notes app. Wait 24 hours. 95% of these drafts never get posted. Rule 3. The why am I posting this test. Before hitting post, ask yourself, am I seeking validation? Am I trying to prove something? Am I performing for an imagined audience? Will I care about this 6 months from now? If you answer yes to any of these, don't post. Rule 4. The gray rock method for trolls. When provoked by a troll, narcissist, or bad faith actor, become a gray rock, boring, unresponsive. They feed on your reaction. Starve them. Rule 5. The strategic silence protocol. When controversy erupts in your industry or community, resist the urge to issue a statement. Wait 72 hours. The news cycle will move on. Your silence becomes invisible. More case studies of social media reaction disasters.
Scenario 2. The comparison spiral. Before, see friends' vacation photos, feel inadequate, scroll for 2 hours looking at other people's perfect lives, depression spiral. After, see friends' vacation photos, notice envy arising, close app, remember social media is highlight reels, practice gratitude for own life, go for walk. Scenario 3. The workplace drama. Before, colleague posts passive-aggressive comment about people who don't pull their weight, assume it's about you, defensive reply, public workplace conflict, HR involvement. After, see passive-aggressive post, feel defensive impulse, apply the 48-hour rule, by next day realize it wasn't about you, crisis avoided with 0 energy spent. Scenario 4. The troll attack. Before, stranger leaves insulting comment, engage in argument, troll responds, you respond, 40-comment thread, exhausted and angry, troll had fun. After, stranger leaves insulting comment, recognize troll behavior, delete comment and block, 0 engagement, troll starved, you unbothered. Scenario 5. The FOMO post. Before, see everyone posting about event you weren't invited to, feel excluded, post something to prove you're having fun too, feel fake and worse. After, see event posts, notice FOMO arising, recognize this as manufactured anxiety, close app, engage with people actually in your life, real connection. Scientific research on social media and reactivity. Study number 1, UC Irvine, The Switching Cost, 2016. Researcher Gloria Mark found it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to fully return to a task after an interruption. Every notification check is a 23-minute cognitive tax. The study concludes, the more we check, the less we accomplish, and the more stressed we become. Study number 2, University of Pennsylvania, Social Media and Mental Health, 2018.
Participants who limited social media use to 30 minutes per day showed significant reductions in loneliness and depression compared to a control group with unlimited use. The study suggests a causal link. Excessive social media use creates mental health problems, not just correlates with them. Study number 3. Stanford, Variable Reward and Addiction, 2017. fMRI studies show variable rewards, likes, comments, and shares, activate the same dopamine pathways as gambling and cocaine. The unpredictability of social media engagement creates compulsive checking behavior. The study concludes social media platforms are psychologically indistinguishable from slot machines. Study number 4. Harvard Business School, The Notification Distraction Effect, 2019. Even the presence of a smartphone, face down, silent, reduces available cognitive capacity by 20%. Participants performed worse on tasks when a phone was visible, even with all notifications off. The study, Your phone is draining your brain even when you're not using it. Study number 5. MIT, Emotion Contagion on Social Networks, 2020. Research demonstrates that emotions spread through social networks like viruses. Exposure to negative content makes you 50% more likely to post negative content yourself within 3 hours. Reactivity is contagious. The solution: quarantine yourself from negative content. Study number 6. Oxford, Social Media Use and Time Perception, 2021. Participants consistently underestimated time spent on social media by 300 to 400%. What feels like 5 minutes is actually 20. The infinite scroll removes temporal awareness, creating a timeless void. Time tracking apps restore reality. Study number 7. Yale, Cancel Culture and Mob Behavior, 2022. Analysis of Twitter pile-ons shows that 80% of participants in a cancellation mob had no prior knowledge or connection to the target. They were reacting to social proof and outrage contagion, not actual grievance. The study concludes, digital mobs are reactivity at scale. Silence is the only immunity. Chapter 7 Key Takeaways. Social media platforms are behavioral slot machines designed to exploit your reactivity for profit. The variable reward schedule, unpredictable likes and comments, is why you can't stop checking. It's addiction by design. Justine Sakona, Marcus the consultant, and the Harvard student all lost everything to one reactive post. The 24-hour rule would have saved them all. Grayscale mode neutralizes the psychological triggers of app design, making your phone boring and tool-like instead of toy-like. Silence is the only way to starve a digital mob. Engagement resets the outrage clock. Every notification check costs you 23 minutes of focus. The switching cost is real and cumulative. Limiting social media to 30 minutes per day reduces loneliness and depression significantly. Even having your phone visible, but silent, reduces cognitive capacity by 20%. Your phone drains your brain. Platform-specific strategies, read-only Twitter, deletion of TikTok, minimal Facebook, let you use tools without becoming their product. The Social Media Non-Reaction Checklist, 7 questions that filter 90% of regrettable posts before they happen. Chapter Integration, 15 Action Steps. Number 1. Complete the comprehensive social media audit today, calculate your annual hours, and decide what to delete. Number 2. Turn your phone to grayscale mode right now, settings, accessibility, display. Number 3. Perform the notification audit. Turn off 100% of non-human notifications immediately. Number 4. Set app limits. Instagram 20 minutes, Twitter 15 minutes, TikTok 10 minutes or delete, Facebook 15 minutes. Number 5. Establish phone-free zones. Bedroom, dining table, bathroom, first morning hour. Number 6. Create no phone windows. 6 to 8 p.m. for relationships, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. for sleep protection. Number 7, start the 7-day social media silence challenge tomorrow, consume only, 0 engagement. Number 8, write and sign your digital boundary blueprint, make it a formal commitment. Number 9, implement the 24-hour posting rule for any emotional or controversial content starting now. Number 10, unfollow or mute anyone who consistently triggers negative emotions, envy, anger, comparison. Number 11, begin the 14-day reaction trigger log to identify your specific reactive patterns. Number 12, create your strategic posting plan for next week. Plans content, not reactive posting. Number 13, print the social media non-reaction checklist and keep it visible at your workspace. Number 14, consider a 30-day experiment. Delete one social media app entirely and observe the impact. Number 15, share your digital boundaries with one accountability partner for mutual support.
Chapter 8, Emotional Regulation. Anyone can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not easy. Aristotle. Introduction. Mastering your inner weather. Emotions are not commands. They are weather reports. They tell you the state of your internal environment. Most people treat a storm warning as a command to run around screaming. The react to nothing practitioner treats it as a signal to batten down the hatches and wait for it to pass. Emotional regulation is not suppression. It is the ability to feel the full weight of an emotion without acting on it destructively. The neuroscience of emotions. The amygdala hijack. Coined by Daniel Goleman, this term describes when the amygdala, emotional processor, declares an emergency and recruits the rest of the brain to its agenda. It literally shuts down blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. You become stupider when you are emotional. Your IQ can drop 10 to 15 points in a state of high arousal. The 90-second rule. Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor, a Harvard neuroanatomist, explains that the chemical component of an emotion, the surge of cortisol and adrenaline, only lasts about 90 seconds in the bloodstream. If you are still angry after 90 seconds, it is because you have chosen to re-stimulate the circuit by thinking about the trigger. You are re-stoking the fire. The window of tolerance. Imagine a zone of arousal where you can function effectively. Hyperarousal, above the window, anxiety, anger, overwhelmed, chaotic. Hypoarousal, below the window, numbness, depression, dissociation, shut down. The window, calm, alert, connected, flexible. The goal of regulation is to widen your window so that stressors don't push you out of it and to have tools to return to the window when you are pushed out. Emotional granularity. Research by Lisa Feldman Barrett shows that people who can name their emotions with high specificity, I feel despondent versus I feel bad, regulate themselves 40% faster. This is emotional granularity. Exercise. Don't say, I'm angry. Are you frustrated, indignant, betrayed, resentful? The precision of the name acts as a containment vessel for the feeling. The RAIN method, a powerful mindfulness tool for regulation. R, recognize. I am feeling intense anger right now. Name it. A, allow. Don't fight it. Don't say, I shouldn't feel this. Just let it be there. It's okay to feel this. I, investigate. Where do I feel this in my body? Is my chest tight? Is my stomach churning? Do not investigate the story, he is a jerk. Investigate the sensation. N, nurture. Offer kindness to the part of you that is hurting. This is hard, but I can handle it. Somatic techniques for regulation. You cannot think your way out of a feeling. You have to feel your way out. Cold water.
Plunging your face into ice water triggers the mammalian dive reflex, which instantly lowers heart rate and activates the parasympathetic system. It is a biological reset button. Shaking. Animals shake it off after a thread to discharge excess adrenaline. Humans suppress this. Go into a private room and vigorously shake your hands and legs for 60 seconds. The physiological sigh. The 2 sharp inhales through the nose to fully inflate the lungs or alveoli, followed by 1 long, extended exhale through the mouth. Repeat 3 times. Stanford Huberman Lab research identifies this as the fastest real-time stress reduction tool. Case studies of emotional mastery. The surgeon's calm. Dr. X, a trauma surgeon, loses a patient on the table. Instead of throwing instruments, reacting, she steps back, closes her eyes for 10 seconds, micropause, acknowledges the grief, recognize, and then proceeds to the next surgery. She processes the emotion later during a dedicated debrief, but she does not let it contaminate the present moment. Creating your personal toolkit, your regulation menu. Level 1, mild stress, deep breath, stretch, sip of water. Level 2, moderate trigger, walk around the block, box breathing, call a mentor. Level 3, red alert, ice water face dip, vigorous exercise, 24-hour isolation rule. More detailed breathing techniques. Breathing is the only autonomic function you can consciously control. It's your bridge between mind and body, voluntary and involuntary, panic and peace. Box breathing, 4-4-4-4. Use case, moderate stress, pre-performance anxiety, general reset. Instructions, inhale through nose for 4 counts, hold lungs full for 4 counts, exhale through mouth for 4 counts, hold lungs empty for 4 counts. Repeat 5 cycles minimum. Why it works, the equal timing creates nervous system balance. Navy SEALs use this before operations. 4-7-8 breath, the tranquilizer breath. Use case, anxiety, insomnia, acute stress. Instructions, exhale completely through mouth, close mouth, inhale quietly through nose for 4 counts, hold breath for 7 counts, exhale completely through mouth for 8 counts with an audible whoosh. Repeat for 4 cycles. Why it works, the long exhale activates the vagus nerve and parasympathetic system. Dr. Andrew Weil calls this a natural tranquilizer for the nervous system. Physiological sigh, the fastest stress relief tool. Use case, immediate panic, acute stress spike, crying regulation. Instructions, take a sharp inhale through the nose, immediately take a second sharp inhale through nose, double inhale, exhale fully through mouth in 1 long, slow release. Repeat 1 to 3 times. Why it works, the double inhale reinflates collapsed alveoli in the lungs, increasing oxygen exchange. Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman research identifies this as the fastest real-time stress reduction tool, faster than meditation or other breathing methods. Coherent breathing, 5-5-5-5. Use case, heart rate variability training, building emotional resilience over time. Instructions, inhale for 5 counts, exhale for 5 counts, no holds, continuous gentle breathing. Practice for 10 to 20 minutes daily. Why it works, this creates approximately 6 breaths per minute, which research shows maximizes heart rate variability, HRV, a key indicator of nervous system health and resilience. Alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana. Use case, mental agitation, racing thoughts, pre-meditation. Instructions, close right nostril with right thumb, inhale through left nostril for 4 counts, close both nostrils, hold for 4 counts, open right nostril, exhale for 4 counts, inhale through right nostril for 4 counts, close both, hold for 4 counts, open left nostril, exhale for 4 counts. This is 1 cycle. Repeat 5 to 10 times. Why it works: this balances the left and right hemispheres of the brain, creating mental calm and integration. The role of self-compassion in emotional regulation, Kristen Neff's framework. Self-compassion is not self-pity or self-indulgence, it's treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a good friend. Kristen Neff's research shows self-compassion is more effective than self-esteem for emotional regulation because it doesn't depend on external validation or comparison. The three components of self-compassion. 1. Self-kindness versus self-judgment. When you mess up, instead of "I'm such an idiot," say "I made a mistake, I'm human, this is part of learning." 2. Common humanity versus isolation. When you suffer, instead of "Why does this only happen to me?" say "This is part of the human experience. Others have felt this too. I'm not alone." 3. Mindfulness versus over-identification. When emotions arise, instead of "I am angry," fused with emotion, say "I'm noticing anger arising in me right now," observing emotion. This creates separation and prevents being consumed by feeling. The self-compassion break, a 3-minute practice. When you're suffering, place hand on heart and say, "Mindfulness, this is a moment of suffering. This hurts." Acknowledge without judgment. Common humanity. Suffering is part of life. Others feel this too. I'm not alone. Self-kindness. May I be kind to myself. May I give myself the compassion I need. Research shows this 3-minute practice reduces cortisol and increases feelings of safety and connection. Emotional regulation in high-stakes situations. Low-stakes practice prepares you for high-stakes performance. Here are protocols for extreme pressure situations. Protocol: the high-stakes presentation. Before, 10 minutes prior, box breathing, 5 cycles. 5 minutes prior, visualization. 10 minutes prior, box breathing, 5 cycles. 5 minutes prior, visualization. See yourself calm, confident, successful. 2 minutes prior, power pose. Stand tall, hands on hips, shoulders back for 2 minutes. This increases testosterone and decreases cortisol. 30 seconds prior, physiological sigh. Double inhale, long exhale. During. If anxiety spikes, ground yourself. Feel feet on floor. Slow your speech 10%. Sip water. Remember, audience wants you to succeed. They're rooting for you. Protocol: the difficult conversation. Before, clarify your intention. I want resolution, not victory. Identify your triggers. What will make you defensive? Plan your pause strategy. 4-7-8 breathing for 3 cycles. During. When triggered, physical pause. Sip water, write a note, take a visible breath. Use reflective listening. What I hear you saying is, this creates a pause and shows respect. Speak from I, not you. I feel hurt, not you always. Protocol: the emergency, crisis. Immediate. Physiological sigh 2 to 3 times to prevent panic spiral. Cold water on face if available. Mammalian dive reflex. Ask, what is the one action that will help right now? Narrows overwhelm. During. Focus on what you can control. Ignore what you can't. Break crisis into 5-minute chunks. I just need to handle the next 5 minutes. Delegate if possible. Heroic solo action often worsens crises. Protocol: the championship performance. Sports, arts, exams. Day before. Avoid stimulants, caffeine, intense media. Early to bed, 8+ hours sleep. Light physical activity. Walk, gentle stretch. 2 hours before. Eat familiar, easily digestible food. Coherent breathing for 10 minutes. Visualization. See perfect performance. Feel the calm confidence. 15 minutes before. Box breathing, 5 cycles. Body scan. Release any tension you find. Mantra: I am prepared. I am ready. I will respond, not react. long-term emotional fitness practices. Emotional regulation in the moment is necessary, but building long-term resilience prevents emotional emergencies. Daily meditation practice. Type: mindfulness meditation, observing breath and sensations without judgment. Duration: start with 5 minutes, build to 20 minutes. When? Morning, before inputs, news, social media, email. Why? Builds the observer mind, the part of you that watches emotions without being consumed by them. Research shows 8 weeks of daily meditation thickens the prefrontal cortex, executive function, and shrinks the amygdala, threat response. Journaling protocols. Morning Pages by Julia Cameron. 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing. Vomit all thoughts onto page, no editing, no judgment. Clears mental clutter before the day begins. Gratitude journal. Every evening, write 3 specific things you're grateful for. Not generic, I'm grateful for my warm bed, and the sound of rain on the window tonight. Rewires brain toward positive scanning, counteracts negativity bias. Emotion tracking journal. Daily, rate your emotions on 1 to 10 scale. Anxiety, joy, anger, sadness, peace. Note triggers and patterns over weeks or months. Creates emotional self-awareness and predictive ability. Physical exercise. The science: exercise is the most underutilized antidepressant. It increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor, which repairs and grows neurons. It reduces cortisol and increases endorphins. The prescription: 30 minutes of moderate cardio, 5 days a week. Walking, running, swimming, cycling, doesn't matter. Move your body, calm your mind. Bonus: vigorous exercise creates temporary stress, elevated heart rate, then recovery. This trains your nervous system to handle stress and return to baseline faster. Emotional resilience training at the physiological level. Sleep optimization. Sleep deprivation is emotional dysregulation. When you're exhausted, your amygdala is 60% more reactive. You're biologically compromised. The non-negotiables: 7 to 9 hours per night, no exceptions. Same bedtime and wake time, even weekends. Circadian rhythm stabilization. No screens 1 hour before bed. Blue light suppresses melatonin. Cool, dark room, 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, ideal. No caffeine after 2 p.m., 6-hour half-life. Nutrition and emotion. Blood sugar equals mood stability. When blood sugar crashes, so does emotional regulation. You become hangry, biologically irritable. The fix? Protein and fiber with every meal. Minimal refined sugar or simple carbs. Stable blood sugar, stable mood. The gut-brain axis. 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut. Poor diet equals poor mental health. Probiotics, fermented foods, and high-fiber diet support emotional regulation at the microbial level. Therapy and counseling. Professional help isn't a last resort for the broken, it's preventative maintenance for the wise. Regular therapy, every 2 to 4 weeks, provides external perspective on your patterns, accountability for growth, professional tools for your specific challenges, safe space to process emotion before it explodes in your life. Think of it like going to the gym for your emotional health. More detailed case studies of emotional mastery. Case study: the surgeon's life or death calm. The situation: Dr. Elena is performing a complex cardiac surgery. Mid-procedure, the patient's heart stops unexpectedly. Alarms blare, nurses panic. If she panics, the patient dies. Her regulation: she takes 1 deep breath, 4 seconds. She says calmly, cardiac arrest, starting compressions. Her voice is monotone, her hands steady. She has trained for this, not just the medical skill, but the emotional regulation. Her method: years of meditation, simulation training, and deliberate stress inoculation. She's practiced staying calm in chaos 10,000 times. When the real moment comes, her body knows what to do. The outcome? Patient's heart restarts. Surgery successful. Afterward, she processes the fear and adrenaline in a debrief routine, crying and shaking, but she didn't let the emotion contaminate the moment. She regulated. Case study: the negotiator under threat. The situation: Chris Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator, is on the phone with a bank robber holding 10 hostages. The robber is screaming threats. "I'll kill them all." The regulation: Chris's heart is pounding, but his voice is calm, slow, almost bored sounding. "It seems like you're really scared right now." Tactical empathy. Label the emotion. His method: he's trained his body, slow breathing, lowered vocal tone, physical grounding. He knows his calm voice will regulate the robber's nervous system through mirror neurons. The outcome? The robber's rage de-escalates. Over 6 hours, Voss's relentless calm brings the robber from fury to exhaustion to surrender. All hostages safe. Emotional regulation saved 10 lives. Case study: the athlete's championship composure. The situation: Michael Jordan, 1998 NBA Finals, Game 6, 5 seconds left, Bulls down by 1, championship on the line. 20,000 people screaming, millions watching. The pressure could crush anyone. The regulation: Jordan dribbles slowly. Time slows down for him. He's not thinking, he's in flow state. His pregame ritual, silence, visualization, breathwork, prepared him for this moment. His thousands of hours of practice created automaticity. The shot is merely the outcome of emotional regulation under ultimate pressure. The outcome? Jordan scores, Bulls win, championship. The shot is remembered forever, but the emotional mastery in that moment is what made it possible. Case study: the teacher in classroom crisis. The situation: Mrs. Ramirez has a student, Marcus, who's escalating. He's shouting, throwing things, threatening other students. The class is scared. She could react with matching anger, escalation, or fear, loss of control. Her regulation: she takes a visible breath. She lowers her voice, counterintuitive. Most people raise voice when threatened. She says calmly, "Marcus, I can see you're really upset. I want to help. Let's you and I step outside for a minute." Her method: trauma-informed teaching training. She knows Marcus has a chaotic home. His outburst isn't about her, it's about his nervous system in survival mode. Her calm is the antidote to his chaos. The outcome? Marcus hesitates, then walks outside with her. In the hallway, away from audience and threat, he cries. She listens. In 10 minutes, he's regulated. They return to class. No one was hurt. Her emotional regulation contained his dysregulation. Case study: the parent's tantrum transformation. The situation: Jamie's 4-year-old is in full meltdown mode in the grocery store, screaming, thrashing on the floor. Every eye is on Jamie. The judgment is palpable. Jamie feels rage and embarrassment rising. Impulse is to yell or threaten. The regulation: Jamie kneels down to child's level, physical grounding, takes a breath, and says gently, "You're really upset right now. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." No threats, no bribes, just presence. The method: Jamie has been practicing the RAIN method and self-compassion, recognizes own emotion, embarrassment, allows it without judgment, investigates the body sensation, hot face, tight chest, nurtures self. "This is hard, but I can handle it." The outcome: the child, feeling seen rather than punished, begins to calm. In 3 minutes, tantrum over. Jamie's regulation created the safe space for the child to regulate, and Jamie feels proud, not ashamed, a parenting victory. Case study: the leader in public criticism. The situation: Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, is on stage at a women's tech conference. He's asked about pay equity. He gives a tone-deaf answer suggesting women shouldn't ask for raises, should trust karma. Immediate backlash, online fury, media roasting. The regulation: old Satya might have doubled down or issued defensive corporate speak apology. Instead, he pauses. He feels the shame and fear. He sits with it. Then he acts. His method: he apologizes genuinely within hours. I answered that question completely wrong. No excuses, no blame shifting. He then implements actual policy changes on pay equity. The apology was backed by action. The outcome: the crisis diffused. Microsoft's reputation recovered. Satya's leadership credibility increased. He didn't react defensively. He regulated his ego, acknowledged error, and responded with integrity. Quick reference: emergency emotional regulation techniques. When you feel panic or acute stress, physiological sigh, double inhale, long exhale, times 3. Cold water on face or ice cube in hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, grounding. Name 5 things you see, 4 you hear, 3 you touch, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. When you feel anger, physical pause. Leave the room, walk around the block. Vigorous movement, push-ups, shaking, running. 4, 7, 8 breathing times 4 cycles. When you feel sadness or grief, allow it, don't suppress it. Set timer for 10 minutes to fully feel it. Self-compassion break, hand on heart, kind words. Reach out to a trusted person, connection heals. When you feel anxiety, name it specifically, not anxious, but worried about X. Box breathing times 5 cycles. Write down the worry, then write, what can I control right now? Troubleshooting. When emotions feel overwhelming. Problem: I try to regulate, but the emotion is too strong. I can't calm down. Solution: you're trying to think your way out, but you need to move your way out. Intense emotion requires physical discharge, vigorous exercise, shaking, crying, cold water, then cognitive tools work. Body first, mind second. Problem: I'm good at regulating in the moment, but then I explode later. Solution: you're suppressing, not regulating. Regulation processes emotion. Suppression postpones it. You need a daily emotional processing practice, journaling, therapy, or dedicated feeling time where you let the backlog out safely. Problem: I don't feel anything. I'm numb all the time. Solution: this is hypoarousal, below the window of tolerance. You've shut down to protect yourself. You need gentle reawakening, therapy, especially somatic or trauma-informed, safe relationships, gradual exposure to feelings in controlled environments. This requires professional support. Problem: these techniques work in low stress, but in high stress, they disappear. Solution: you haven't trained enough under pressure. Start stress inoculation training. Deliberately practice regulation techniques in progressively more challenging situations. Start with mild discomfort, cold shower. Build to moderate, difficult conversation. Then high stakes. You're building a stress muscle. Scientific research on emotional regulation. Study number 1, Harvard and Meditation and Brain Structure, 2011. MRI scans showed that 8 weeks of daily meditation, 27 minutes per day, produced measurable changes in brain structure, increased gray matter density in the hippocampus, learning and memory, and decreased density in the amygdala, stress and fear. Conclusion: meditation physically remodels your brain for better emotional regulation. Study number 2, UC Berkeley, Emotional Granularity and Well-Being, 2015. Lisa Feldman Barrett's research found that people who use more specific emotion words show 40% faster emotional regulation and lower rates of depression and anxiety. Name it to tame it is neuroscience, not new age fluff. Precision in labeling creates cognitive distance and control. Study number 3, Stanford, The Physiological Sigh, 2022. Andrew Huberman's lab compared multiple breathwork techniques. The physiological sigh, double inhale, extended exhale, was the fastest and most effective for real-time stress reduction. Average heart rate decrease of 12 BPM in 60 seconds. Study number 4, University of Texas, Self-Compassion versus Self-Esteem, 2017. Kristen Neff's research demonstrated that self-compassion is a better predictor of psychological well-being than self-esteem. Self-esteem depends on external validation and social comparison. Self-compassion is unconditional. In emotional regulation tasks, high self-compassion participants recovered 65% faster from setbacks. Study number 5, Yale, Heart Rate Variability and Emotional Regulation, 2019. Higher HRV correlates directly with better emotional regulation, impulse control, and stress resilience. Coherent breathing, 6 breaths per minute daily, increases HRV by an average of 24% over 30 days. Conclusion: breathwork is physiological training for emotional resilience. Study number 6, University of Amsterdam, Emotion Suppression Costs, 2014. Participants who suppressed emotions showed increased blood pressure, elevated cortisol, impaired memory, and decreased social connection. The cost of suppression is biological and relational. Regulation, acknowledging, and processing had none of these negative effects. Suppression is expensive. Regulation is sustainable. Study number 7, University of Wisconsin, the 90-second rule, Jill Bolt Taylor, 2008. Neuroanatomist Jill Bolt Taylor identified that the chemical lifespan of an emotion is approximately 90 seconds. After that, any continued emotional experience is due to re-triggering the circuit through thought. The emotion ends naturally. Rumination restarts it. Implication: if you cannot react for 90 seconds, the chemical push dissolves. Chapter 8, Key Takeaways. The 90-second rule. The chemical surge is brief, 90 seconds. The rumination is long. Stop restoking the fire. Name it to tame it. Emotional granularity, specific emotion words, reduces emotion intensity by 40% and speeds regulation. The mammalian dive reflex, ice water on face, is an instant biological reset for panic, instant parasympathetic activation. Regulation is not suppression. Suppression is postponement with biological cost. Regulation is processing with integration. You must build your toolkit before the crisis. You can't learn to swim during drowning. Train in calm to perform in storm. The physiological sigh, double inhale, extended exhale, is the fastest real-time stress reduction, 12 BPM in 60 seconds. Self-compassion beats self-esteem for emotional regulation. It's unconditional, not dependent on performance or comparison. The window of tolerance. Hyperarousal equals chaos. Hypoarousal equals numbness. Window equals regulated. Goal: widen your window and return to it quickly when pushed out. RAIN method. Recognize, allow, investigate, nurture, provides a 4-step process for processing emotions without being consumed by them. Daily practices: meditation, journaling, exercise, sleep, nutrition, therapy build long-term emotional fitness. Prevention beats intervention. Chapter 8, Integration. 15 Action Steps. Start the 21-day Emotional Fitness Challenge tomorrow. 10-minute morning meditation, emotion wheel check-in, and evening gratitude journal. Learn and practice all 5 breathing techniques today: box, 4-7-8, physiological sigh, coherent breathing, and alternate nostril breathing. Save them in phone notes. Complete comprehensive trigger mapping exercise this week. Identify all people, situations, environmental, and thought triggers. Create your personal regulation protocol document. Physical, cognitive, social tools, plus. Chapter 9. When Silence Speaks Louder. Nothing strengthens authority so much as silence. Leonardo da Vinci. Introduction. The thunderous power of saying nothing. We are conditioned to believe that silence is a void to be filled. In reality, silence is a canvas. It is a heavy, tangible substance that can be wielded with precision. Strategic silence is the ultimate react to nothing move, because it forces the other person to react to you, or more accurately, to their own projection of you. The strategic power of non-response. When someone provokes you, they are handing you a rope and asking you to play tug of war. If you pick up the rope, defend, argue, explain, you are in the game. If you stay silent, they are left holding a rope, looking foolish. Silence denies the aggressor the fuel they need to sustain the conflict. Situations where silence is the strongest move. The false accusation. Defending yourself often makes you look guilty. A calm, silent stare can suggest, "This is so absurd, it doesn't merit a response." The negotiation. After you state your price, shut up. The first person to speak loses. The silence creates anxiety in the counterpart, often leading them to bid against themselves to fill the void. The gossip trap. When someone tries to drag you into office drama, like, "Can you believe what Sarah did?" Silence is the ultimate shield. It signals, "I am not a receptacle for this trash." Silence in negotiation. The pregnant pause. In high-stakes business deals, the pregnant pause is a weapon. You make an offer. They reject it. You say nothing. You look at them pleasantly and wait. The silence becomes heavy. Humans are social animals. We are wired to smooth over awkwardness. Often, the other party will start talking just to relieve the tension, like, maybe we can come down a little bit? You have won, simply by enduring the awkwardness longer than they could. Silence versus avoidance. The difference. This is critical. Avoidance is fear-based. You are silent because you are afraid of the conflict. You are hiding. Strategic silence is power-based. You are silent because you are choosing not to engage. You are present, making eye contact, grounded. You are not hiding, you are withholding. The art of the non-explanation, refusing to jade. Al-Anon support groups use the acronym JADE, justify, argue, defend, explain. When you are dealing with a toxic person or setting a boundary, you do not jade. Weak response. I can't come to the party because my mom is sick and I have to work early and I'm really tired. Sorry. This invites negotiation. Oh, just come for an hour. Strong response, silence or brevity. I won't be able to make it. Silence. The period at the end of the sentence is a wall. Do not dismantle the wall with explanations. The 48-hour no-response rule for provocations. If you receive a baiting text from an ex, a passive-aggressive email from a coworker, or a rude comment online, apply the 48-hour rule. Do not respond for 2 days. 99% of the time, the situation resolves itself, or the person sends a follow-up apology, like, "Sorry, I was in a bad mood." By not reacting, you allowed them to correct themselves. 48-hour rule implementation guide. Step 1. Receive provocation. Feel the immediate urge to defend, explain, or attack. Recognize this as the reactive impulse. Step 2. Physically remove yourself from ability to respond. Email, close email client, don't draft anything. Text, put phone in another room, don't type response. Social media, log out, delete app for 48 hours if necessary. Step 3. Set a reminder for 48 hours from now. Calendar alert. Revisit situation. Do I still need to respond? Step 4. Distract and process. Immediately engage in physical activity. Walk, workout, clean. Journal about your feelings privately. Vent fully on paper, not digitally. Talk to trusted confidant who will listen, not inflame. Step 5. When 48 hours pass, reassess. Questions to ask. Do I still feel the same urgency to respond? Usually no. Has the situation resolved itself? Often yes. If I respond now, what outcome am I hoping for? Usually, validation, vindication, correction, none of which you'll actually get. Is silence the stronger move? Almost always yes. Step 6. If you still must respond, do so strategically. Brief, factual, non-emotional. Thanks for sharing your perspective. Then stop. No JADEing. Justify, argue, defend, explain. Cultural differences in silence interpretation. Silence means different things in different cultural contexts. Understanding this prevents misinterpretation. Eastern versus Western cultures. Eastern cultures, like Japan, China, Korea, silence is often valued as wisdom, respect, and thoughtfulness. The one who speaks does not know, the one who knows does not speak. Lao Tzu. Silence signals maturity and self-control. Western cultures, like the USA, UK, Australia, silence can be interpreted as disengagement, rudeness, or lack of confidence. Speak up is cultural imperative. Silence can feel aggressive or passive-aggressive. Implication: in multicultural environments, narrate your silence. I want to take a moment to think about that. This bridges cultural interpretation gaps. High context versus low context communication. High context cultures, much is communicated non-verbally. Silence is normal, expected, and carries meaning. Relationships and context matter more than explicit words. Low context cultures, explicit verbal communication is primary. Silence is absence, not presence. Say what you mean is the norm. Strategy: adapt your silence. In high context settings, lean into it. In low context settings, narrate it briefly. More case studies, historical and modern examples of powerful silence. Case study: Gandhi's silent protests. The context: British colonial rule in India. Violence would have justified violent retaliation, playing into colonial narrative of savage natives needing civilization. The silence: Gandhi led silent marches, silent fasts, silent sit-ins, no weapons, no shouting, no retaliation, just bodies, present, silent, refusing to cooperate. The power: the British didn't know what to do. Violence against silent protesters looked monstrous. The silence forced the oppressor to see their own brutality reflected back in. Gandhi's silence was louder than any speech. The outcome? Indian independence. Silence as revolutionary strategy. Case study: Rosa Parks' quiet defiance. The context: Montgomery, Alabama, 1955. Bus segregation laws. Black passengers required to give up seats to white passengers. The silence: when ordered to give up her seat, Rosa Parks didn't argue, didn't shout, didn't plead her case. She simply said no, and then fell silent. She sat, she waited, silent defiance. The power: her silence was immovable. It communicated, I am human, I have dignity, I will not argue for basic respect, I embody it. No amount of shouting could have said that more clearly. The outcome? Arrest, but also Montgomery bus boycott, Supreme Court ruling, civil rights acceleration. Her silence sparked a movement. Case study: The silent treatment that ended a war. The context: Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962. Soviet ships carrying nuclear missiles approaching U.S. naval blockade. World on brink of nuclear war. The silence: President Kennedy, after 13 days of intense deliberation, sent a carefully worded message to Khrushchev, then imposed the communications blackout. No press conferences, no leaks, no public posturing. He waited in silence. The power: the silence gave Khrushchev space to back down without public humiliation. No audience to perform for, no ego to defend. Just two leaders with the fate of humanity in quiet negotiation. The outcome: Soviet ships turned back. Nuclear war averted. Silence created the diplomatic space for de-escalation. Case study: the CEO who said nothing and won the board battle. The context: tech startup CEO Maria facing hostile board member who's undermining her authority publicly, trying to force her out. The provocation: in board meeting, hostile member makes an accusation. The company is failing because of your incompetence. Entire board watching, waiting for her reaction. The silence: Maria looks at him calmly. 5 full seconds of eye contact, no words. She writes a note on her pad, then calmly, "Let's review the quarterly numbers." Moves on. Her silence communicated, "Your provocation is beneath response. I am here for the company, not ego battles." The hostile member looked unhinged. She looked presidential. The outcome: 3 board members privately approached her after the meeting expressing support. 2 meetings later, the hostile member was voted off the board. Her silence won. Case study: the athlete who ignored the trash talk. The context: professional tennis. Opponent is known for psychological warfare, trash talking between points, glaring, trying to provoke reaction and break focus. The strategy: champion player implements the zero engagement protocol. No eye contact with opponent between points, no acknowledgement of comments, no facial reaction, stone face, silent focus. The power: trash talk requires a receiver. When you give nothing back, no anger, no defensiveness, not even acknowledgement, the tactic fails. The trash talker is shouting into a void. The outcome: opponent becomes increasingly agitated by lack of reaction, starts making unforced errors, loses composure. Silent player wins in straight sets. Post-match: "I didn't hear anything. I was in my game." Case study: the artist who never responded to critics. The context: controversial artists' work constantly criticized as not real art, offensive, talentless. The silence: for 30 years, never responded to a single critic. No interviews defending work, no social media clapbacks, no op-eds, just continued making art. The work spoke. Critics eventually looked petty and small for attacking someone who never fought back. The artist's dignity and focus became part of the legend. The outcome: retrospective at major museum, critical reevaluation. The silence outlasted the noise. Work survived, criticism forgotten. Case study: the whistleblower's strategic silence. The context: corporate whistleblower exposes fraud. Company launches a smear campaign. She's disgruntled, lying, attention-seeking. The silence: the whistleblower's attorney advises, "Say nothing publicly. Let the facts speak." She gives 0 interviews, posts nothing on social media, doesn't defend herself. The power: company kept attacking air. Every statement they made looked more desperate. Her silence made her credible. Their noise made them look guilty. The outcome: federal investigation. Company executives indicted. Her silence protected her, maintained her credibility, and let the truth emerge uncontaminated by ego. Case study: the politicians debate non-response. The context: presidential debate. Opponent makes a personal attack, baiting response. The silence: instead of counterattacking, candidate pauses, looks directly at the camera, not at the opponent, and calmly states their policy position, refuses to engage the attack at all. The power: audience sees the contrast. One person flailing and attacking, one person calm and focused. The non-response reframes the attacker as unserious and desperate. The outcome: post-debate polls show the silent candidate gained presidential and composed ratings. The attacker looked mean and unpresidential. Silence won the optics. Professional contexts: tactical silence at work. Meetings: strategic silence for influence. Technique: the last to speak. In brainstorming or decision-making meetings, speak last. Let everyone else exhaust their ideas and reveal their positions. Then synthesize the best points, add your perspective, and present. You look thoughtful and strategic, not reactive. Technique: the pregnant pause after someone speaks. After someone finishes their point, count to 3 before responding. This signals, "I'm considering this seriously." It also often prompts them to add more information to fill the silence, revealing more than they intended. Technique: silence instead of agreement. When asked to agree on something you're uncertain about, "I need to think about that before committing." Then silence. Don't fill it with explanations. Let the silence be your boundary. Difficult conversations. Pause power. When receiving criticism, don't defend immediately. Write a note, count to 5, then, "Thank you for that feedback. I'll reflect on that." The silence signals maturity and confidence. Immediate defense signals insecurity. When delivering criticism, state the issue clearly, then stop. Let them fill it with explanation or ownership. The Q3 numbers are concerning. Silence. Let them fill it with explanation or ownership. Inappropriate requests. Silence as no. When asked to do something inappropriate or beyond your role, "I'm going to need to think about that." Then silence. Change subject or end conversation. If pressed, "I've said I need to think about it." The repetition with no further explanation is a soft no. Silence protects you from over-explaining or being manipulated. Office politics. Staying out of drama. The gossip invitation. Colleague: "Can you believe what Sarah did?" You: pleasant smile, no words, return to work. Or, no elaboration. Your silence says, "I'm not a receptacle for gossip. I'm not a participant in this." The gossiper will move on to someone more receptive. The alliance pressure. You're on my side, right? You: I'm focused on the projects, results, my work. No direct yes or no. Silence on taking sides is neutrality that protects you. Personal contexts. Silence as self-protection. Toxic relationships. The gray rock method. When dealing with narcissists, manipulators, or toxic people you can't completely avoid, co-parent, family member, become a gray rock. Boring, unresponsive, emotionally flat. How it works. Give minimal information. Fine. Okay, I'll think about it. No emotional content. No excitement, no anger, no sadness. Just neutral gray. Don't respond to provocations. Let them talk to you. Give nothing back. Why it works. Toxic people feed on your reaction. They want drama, emotion, engagement. Gray rock starves them. They eventually find you boring and move on to someone more reactive. Boundary violations. Silent enforcement. When someone violates your boundary, "I've said I'm not discussing this." Then literal silence. Leave the room, end the call, stop responding to texts. Do not repeat yourself. Do not explain further. Your silence is the enforcement. The boundary plus silence is impenetrable. Drama and gossip. Non-participation. Friend: "I can't believe what happened. You need to hear this drama." You: "I'm trying to stay out of other people's business. Let's talk about something else." If they persist, silence, change subject, or end conversation. You don't owe participation. Family dysfunction. Selective engagement. Toxic family member baiting you at holiday dinner. "So, when are you getting a real job?" Provocation. You: smile, take a bite of food, turn to another family member. "How is your garden coming along?" Redirect. Don't engage. If pressed, "I'm not discussing that." Silence. Then literally stop responding. Ex-partner provocations. Complete silence. Unless co-parenting logistics require communication, complete radio silence is often the healthiest post-breakup strategy. Every response, even defensive, even setting them straight, gives them access to your emotional space. Silence closes the door completely.
Quick reference. When to choose silence. Choose silence when you're being baited or provoked, someone wants you to defend yourself, you're being asked to take sides in drama, someone demands an immediate answer to a big question, you feel reactive emotion, anger, fear, defensiveness. Responding will escalate, not resolve. The other person just wants to fight. You're being manipulated. Gossip is being directed at you. in negotiation right after stating your position. Don't choose silence when someone is genuinely asking for help or clarification. Your silence will cause unnecessary confusion or harm. You're avoiding necessary conflict out of fear. Avoidance doesn't equal strategic silence. A direct question about logistics requires direct answer. Your silence is passive-aggressive rather than strategic. Before and after transformation scenarios. Scenario 1. The X's provocation text. Before, X texts at 11 p.m., "Hope you're happy with your choices. You ruined everything." You respond with 500-word defense, 2-hour text argument, exhausted, regretful, re-traumatized. After, 48-hour rule, see text, feel anger rising, put phone down. 48 hours pass, X sends, "Sorry, I was drunk and upset." You never had to engage. Their chaos, their problem. Your peace maintained. Scenario 2. The office gossip. Before, coworker, "Did you hear what Karen did?" You engage, add your opinion. Now you're part of gossip chain. Karen finds out, workplace tension. After, gray rock, coworker, "Did you hear what Karen did?" You, return to work, no elaboration. Coworker gets no fuel, moves on. You're not in the drama, reputation protected. Scenario 3. The family holiday bait. Before, uncle, "Your generation is so entitled and lazy." You defend your entire generation. Argument ruins dinner. Family sides taken. Holiday ruined. After, strategic silence, uncle, "Your generation is so entitled and lazy." You smile, take a bite of food, turn to cousin, "How's school going?" Refuse engagement. Uncle has no one to fight with. Dinner continues peacefully. Scenario 4. The boss's unfair criticism. Before, boss, "This report is unacceptable." You immediately defend, "But I worked 20 hours on it." Boss, "Then you're inefficient too." Escalation, damaged relationship. After, pause, silence. Boss, "This report is unacceptable." You, pause 5 seconds, write a note. "What specifically would you like me to improve?" Boss explains. You, "I'll revise it by Friday." Professional, not defensive. Boss respects your maturity. Scenario 5. The social media troll. Before, troll, comments, "You're an idiot and here's why." You respond with facts and logic. Troll responds with more vitriol. 40-comment thread, "Your day ruined, troll entertained." After, complete silence. Troll comments, "You see it, feel angry." Close app, don't respond. Troll gets no supply, moves on. Your feed, your peace, your power. Scenario 6. The manipulation attempt. Before, manipulative person, "If you really cared about me, you'd..." Unreasonable request. You feel guilty, explain why you can't. They argue with every explanation. You eventually cave or argue for hours. After, boundary, silence. Manipulative person, "If you really cared about me, you'd..." Unreasonable request. You, "I'm not able to do that." Them, "But why, if you just..." You, "I've given my answer." Silence, change subject or leave. Boundary held, no jading. Scenario 7. The negotiation power play. Before, you state your price. Client, "That's way too high." You immediately start justifying and explaining your value. You talk yourself down. Client wins. After, pregnant pause. You state your price. Client, "That's way too high." You, silent, calm eye contact, 10 full seconds. Client, uncomfortable with silence. "Well, maybe we could come down a bit on our end." Your silence created leverage. Client negotiates with themselves. Troubleshooting. When silence feels like weakness. Problem. When I stay silent, I feel like I'm letting them win or get away with it. Reframe. They're only winning if your goal is to change their mind or get validation from them. Your goal is your peace. Silence wins peace. Engagement wins nothing but exhaustion. Ask, what do I actually win by responding? Usually, nothing. Problem: people will think I have no response, that I'm weak or don't care. Reframe. Mature, powerful people do not feel compelled to respond to everything. Responding to every provocation signals insecurity. Silence signals, this doesn't merit my energy. That's strength, not weakness. Trust the long game. Your consistent composure will prove itself. Problem: I stay silent but then obsess about what I should have said. Solution: write it down. Get it out of your system on paper or in a note stock you never send. Vent fully. Then close the document. The act of writing satisfies the brain's need to respond without actually responding. You got the last word with yourself, which is all that matters. Problem: my silence is being interpreted as agreement or approval. Solution: clarify once, briefly, my silence doesn't mean agreement. It means I'm choosing not to engage. Then return to silence. You've stated your position, further defense is unnecessary. Or, if clarifying feels like giving too much, your true people will know your silence isn't agreement. The opinion of bad faith interpreters doesn't matter. Problem: I need to defend my reputation or set the record straight. Reality check. Very rarely does responding actually repair reputation. Usually it makes it worse by looking defensive. Your work, your character, and your consistent behavior set the record straight over time, not your explanations. Silence with integrity outlasts noise with excuses. If someone important needs clarification, have one private conversation, no public defense. Scientific research on silence and communication. Study 1. University of Groningen, The Power of Silence in Negotiation, 2011. Researchers found that negotiators who used strategic pauses and silence after making offers secured 20% better outcomes than those who immediately re-explained or justified their position. The silence created discomfort in the counterpart, often leading them to make concessions to fill the void. Study 2. MIT, Silence and Social Perception, 2018. Study participants rated leaders who used strategic silence, pausing before responding, not reacting immediately, as 31% more competent and 27% more trustworthy than leaders who responded instantly. Silence signals thoughtfulness and confidence. Instant reaction signals insecurity. Study 3. Stanford, The Discomfort of Silence, 2014. People experience discomfort after just 4 seconds of silence in conversation, creating an urge to fill the void. Those who can tolerate silence longer gain social power. Others reveal information, make concessions, or soften positions to relieve their own discomfort. Silence is a waiting game. The comfortable person wins. Study 4. University of Amsterdam, Silence as Boundary Enforcement, 2019. Research on interpersonal boundaries showed that subjects who enforced boundaries with silence, stating boundary once, then refusing further discussion, were more successful in maintaining boundaries than those who repeatedly explained or justified. Explanation invites negotiation. Silence is final. Study 5. Yale, Cultural Differences in Silence Interpretation, 2017. Cross-cultural communication studies revealed significant variation in silence interpretation. East Asian cultures rated silence as indicating thoughtfulness and respect 73% of the time. Western cultures rated the same silence as indicating discomfort or disinterest 68% of the time. Implication: cultural context matters, but strategic silence can be narrated to bridge interpretation gaps. Study 6. Harvard, Silence and De-escalation, 2020. Analysis of conflict de-escalation showed that when one party stopped responding emotionally, went silent, 78% of conflicts de-escalated within 10 minutes. Conflict requires two participants. Removing one through silence ends the fuel supply. The silent person retained agency. The reactive person exhausted themselves. Study 7. Study number 7. University of California, The Exhaustion of Defense, 2016. Psychological study showed that defending oneself against accusations, even false ones, increases cortisol, decreases cognitive function, and creates a perception of guilt. The more you defend, the guiltier you appear. Strategic silence, non-defense, maintained physiological calm and social perception of innocence. Innocent people don't need to convince you. Their silence is confidence. Chapter 9. Key takeaways. Silence is not an absence of communication. It is a form of communication that often speaks louder than words. In negotiation, he who speaks first loses. Silence creates discomfort that others rush to fill, often with concessions. Jade, justify, argue, defend, explain, is a trap. Over-explaining erodes boundaries. State your position once, then silence. The 48-hour rule filters out 90% of unnecessary conflict. Provocations usually resolve themselves, or the provocateur self-corrects when you don't engage. Silence allows the other person's bad behavior to echo back at them. No defense needed when someone makes themselves look foolish. Strategic silence is power-based, choosing not to engage. Avoidance is fear-based, hiding from conflict. Know the difference. Gray rock method. When dealing with toxic people, become boring and unresponsive. Starve them of the reaction they crave. Cultural context matters. Eastern cultures value silence as wisdom. Western cultures can interpret it as disengagement. Narrate your silence when necessary. Research shows strategic silence increases perceptions of competence plus 31%, trustworthiness plus 27%, and negotiation outcomes plus 20%. Leaders, athletes, negotiators, and changemakers throughout history have wielded silence as their most powerful tool. Gandhi, Rosa Parks, Lincoln, Kennedy. Chapter Integration 15 Action Steps. Start the 14-day progressive silence practice tomorrow. Graduated conversational and strategic silence building. Complete your strategic non-response planning worksheet this week. Identify automatic silent situations and pre-script responses. Implement the 48-hour rule starting immediately for any provocative communication you receive. Create and sign your personal silence protocol document. Make it a formal commitment to strategic silence. Practice the pregnant pause technique in your next 3 conversations or meetings. 5-second silence before responding. If dealing with toxic person, implement Gray Rock method this week. Boring, minimal, emotionally flat responses only. Print the When to Choose Silence quick reference and keep it visible. Desk, phone photo, wallet. Begin physical silence practice. 5 minutes of complete silence daily this week. No inputs, just being. Identify one relationship where you over-engage. Start the 30-day silence experiment with that specific person or situation. Practice 1 silent meal and 1 silent walk this week to build comfort with non-stimulated silence. Next time someone gossips to you, practice your silence response. Return to work, no engagement. In your next negotiation or boundary setting, state your position once, then hold silence. No jading, no over-explaining. Study the historical case studies, Gandhi, Rosa Parks, Kennedy. Internalize that silence has changed the world more than shouting. When criticized, practice, "Thank you for that feedback. I'll reflect on it."
then silence. Notice the power shift. Chapter 10. The Stop Method. When you are in the trenches of daily life, you need a quick, deployable tactic. You don't have time to meditate for an hour. You need the Stop Method. This is a cognitive behavioral tool used in mindfulness training to break the reactive cycle instantly. S. Stop. Literally, stop what you are doing. Stop typing, stop speaking, stop moving. Freeze your body. By ceasing physical motion, you signal the brain to cease mental momentum. T. Take a breath. Take 1 or 2 deep, conscious breaths. Focus entirely on the sensation of air entering the nostrils and filling the lungs. This reconnects you to the present moment and your physical body, pulling you out of the mental narrative. O. Observe. Scan your internal and external environment. Internal. My chest is tight. My jaw is clenched. I feel threatened. External. The person in front of me is shouting. People are watching. Observe without judgment. Act like a scientist collecting data. Interesting. The subject, me, is feeling rage. P. Proceed. Now, and only now, do you move forward. Ask, what is the most constructive action I can take right now? Proceed with intention, not impulse. Sometimes the best way to proceed is to say, I need a moment to think about this, and walk away. Why stop works? The stop method inserts a wedge into the flywheel of reactivity. It doesn't deny the emotion, it simply creates a checkpoint that the emotion must pass through before it becomes an action.